WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good morning, I'm Katie Cook. Today is Saturday, June the 13th. Well, Governor Andy Beshear did not hold a coronavirus briefing yesterday, but did provide updated numbers. Governor Beshear announced 331 new cases. That brings the statewide case count to 12,166. There were 4 new deaths announced Friday, and now the death toll sits at 497. 3,390 Kentuckians have recovered from the virus, and 315,068 tests have been administered throughout the state. For more information on COVID-19, you can head over to our website, WYMT.com. Jackson.
I think back to what was like a war zone.
That's how Kevin Bryant describes the COVID-19 outbreak at Jackson Manor.
Once we first announced COVID, the atmosphere had changed. Staff were afraid not only for the residents, but they're afraid for themselves.
With more than 40 positive cases recovered, the battle paid off and celebrated with a parade.
Just a joyous day. It's a day that's been that we've been waiting for. Today is just about positivity, celebration, getting families involved.
Jerry Pearson's parents tested positive for COVID-19.
It was a scary, scary time. And we just started praying. We asked everybody in the community to pray.
Those prayers answered.
Wonderful, like a weight's been lifted because, we're getting a day closer to being able to actually touch them and feel them.
The feeling of love in the air.
My heart is full. My heart is full. I'm just so thankful.
Hoping this parade is just the beginning of many celebrations to come. In Jackson County, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
The nursing home plans to dedicate a memorial bench to the 13 residents who died from COVID-19. Now let's check in with meteorologist Brooke Marshall for a look at your forecast this morning. Brooke, it's a little bit chilly outside this morning, but it looks like it's definitely going to warm up quite a bit this afternoon.
Yeah, Katie, we're going to be getting into those lower 80s today, so we're going to be seeing beautiful temperatures ahead. But overall, I say it's still pretty nice this morning, but a little bit on the chilly side, just like you said. Let me take you to just a few of our cameras, though, so you can see these beautiful conditions here. If you look at our WYMT studio camera into Hazard, you can see just a beautiful mix of sun and clouds and dry conditions there. So overall, looking pretty good this morning here in Hazard. And then if you look over into downtown Whitesburg, similar conditions there, although they're looking to see a little bit more fog down there. You can see that if you look up towards the tops of the mountains. This looks to have lifted a little bit, but it's also looking to have gotten a little bit more dense. So before it was a little bit more towards those rooftops, but you could kind of see through it. Now it's lifted a little, but it looks just like a white blanket. You can't very see much beyond it. So just be careful if you are headed out. Might run into some patchy fog this morning, but other than that, here's these temperatures anywhere from those mid 50s to those lower 60s this morning. So very comfortable, maybe a little bit chilly for some of us, but overall we are going to warm up as we go through those afternoon hours today and even get into those lower 80s. So overall it's going to be good to go pretty much all day. If you need to get out, get some exercise, maybe just want to get some fresh air. I mean, we're really not going to be seeing any alerts today, so definitely looking like a great day ahead, and we're going to continue to see these wonderful conditions even as we head into this evening and tomorrow morning. But then we do have some rain chances that look to be coming back into the forecast tomorrow afternoon, but I'll break those down for you here in just a little bit. Katie?
All right, thank you, Brooke. The statue of Confederate President Jefferson Davis will be removed from the state capitol rotunda. An 11-to-1 vote Friday afternoon determined the statue will be taken down and moved. Governor Beshear called a meeting virtually on Zoom with the Kentucky Historic Properties Advisory Commission to consider the removal of the statue that has been in the state capitol since the late 1930s. It was a bipartisan vote, and both Republicans and Democrats were vocal in their support for it.
We need to learn from Jefferson Davis. We need to learn from all the sins of our past, no doubt about it, but not in this space. And so I'm happy that this is a wonderful day, that in a way, Abraham Lincoln will not have to look over his right shoulder anymore at Jefferson Davis behind him.
Only one person voted against the removal of the statue, saying he joined the commission board to, quote, protect his history and not remove it. Last night in Whitesburg, a couple hundred people gathered for a protest to support the Black Lives Matter movement. The event lasted almost 2 hours, and many people spoke, including local musician Nick Jamerson and Senate candidate Charles Booker. WYMT's Emily Bennett gives us a look inside the protest.
Free! Free! What does that mean?
A community showing support to their black neighbors.
This is honestly the first time we're seeing something like this, all the states coming together.
Organizer Deja Hogg says the racism she faces in eastern Kentucky is mostly unspoken.
People just kind of swept it under the rug, and so we've always had to just keep the peace and not really tell our truth, and so today's kind of about that, so we can speak out.
But on Friday night, many took to the stage to share their stories and to educate.
Even when a name isn't trending, continue to support a movement that intends to create change.
White privilege does not mean that your life hasn't been hard. It means that your skin color isn't one of the things making it harder.
Local musician Nick Jamerson shared a poem he wrote after watching the video of George Floyd.
I'm tired of watching murder. White spilling black blood. Humanity has got a problem, and everybody has to help.
And Senate candidate Charles Booker called on Kentuckians to continue to fight.
Look at our history. If we got to stand on the tracks to stop a coal company from running us over, we gonna do it. If we got to march in the streets to demand justice and accountability, we are gonna do it.
And as they march the streets, Hogg hopes this shows change is coming.
It gives me hope that, like, my little cousins, you know, they're biracial, and now maybe they won't have to go through as hard as a time as we had to, you know. Maybe we can change this for them.
In Whitesburg, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
The protest included a vigil for Breonna Taylor and 8 minutes of silence for George Floyd. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting that left one person dead and another injured yesterday. Deputies say they were responding to a domestic dispute at this house Friday afternoon. 59-year-old Charlie Sizemore was pronounced dead at the scene from a gunshot wound, and 56-year-old Elaine Sizemore was also shot and airlifted to UK Medical Center in critical condition. Investigators say Charlie shot Elaine and then turned the gun on himself. Deputies confirmed 9 children were outside at the time of the shooting. Deputies say the public is not in any danger. And a Louisville man faces charges of human trafficking involving 19-year-old and 17-year-old girls. The Attorney General's office worked with the LMPD's Special Victims Unit after receiving information from Norton Children's Hospital and other groups. 34-year-old Christopher Bada is also charged with using an electronic device to lure a minor in for sex, and authorities of Electronic Communication System to procure a minor for sexual purposes, which is a Class D felony. Additional charges are expected as the investigation continues. And the teen behind a deadly school shooting in Kentucky learned his fate in court yesterday. A judge sentenced Gabriel Parker to 2 life sentences for the 2018 shooting at Marshall County High School. Parker opened fire on his classmates, killing Bailey Holt and Preston Cope. More than a dozen others were wounded. In April, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and 14 counts of assault. Friday, the parents of the 2 students killed gave emotional statements before the courtroom.
I could write for days, and you would never know everything about our precious Preston, nor the pain we feel with our every breath. And now Maddox must go on living life alone without his big brother, and it's so unfair. He was our firstborn and has missed every second of every day of our lives. I don't see good when I look at Gabe Parker. He has no remorse and no conscience. I see evil, pure evil. I pray daily that he never gets out of jail and spends the rest of his life behind bars.
I would never have thought when I kissed her that morning it would be the last time. Bailey made me a mama for the first time. Our daughter was the sweetest, kindest, most precious soul you would ever meet.
Parker also received an additional 70 years in prison for the 14 counts of assault. Even with 2 life sentences, he may not spend the rest of his life in prison. He will be eligible for parole in 20 years. School is out for the summer, but 2 Pike County students have decided to spend time learning a little more for the good of their community. WYMT's Buddy Forbes visited Elkhorn City to see what idea the kids are cooking up.
It started as a pretend business for 2 fifth graders.
I like the baking part. Yeah, and I like giving people stuff. And then probably gonna make it even messier.
But Amelia Stiltner and Lily Stacy had plans that went beyond the imaginary.
We decided we should make homemade goods and give them to my neighbors.
The duo started making Mondays a little more special for their Elkhorn City community.
Because people are sick or they're just down and stuff. Well,
finding their own recipes,
I think we will.
Making homemade treats, and delivering them to neighbors with a little note of encouragement.
I think the people act grateful because they just like whenever we take them baked goods.
They have made brownies, candies, lemonade, and Monday's treat will be homemade cookies. Made with patience,
slow, Okay,
partnership,
that should be good.
And a little parental financing.
They're just happy that we're doing this and that we're learning like what to do and that they got these treats and stuff.
Letting the girls give back.
I feel grateful because people, there's sometimes you can't go out and get food, so we just make them for them.
While perfecting their business model.
Okay, you don't have to show this part.
In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The girls say they are also available to host a cooking show if you are looking for talent, but they are a package deal. Well, as we head into summer, many people will head to the lake to enjoy time outdoors and in the sun, but if proper safety isn't followed, things can turn serious quickly. Officials at Carr Fork Marina in Knott County say they have several safety tips for when you're out on the lake. Obviously, life jackets and boating sober are a must. If you don't go swimming, don't get too far from if you do go swimming, don't get too far from your boat and just be observant of your surroundings.
Keep your distance. There's no need to be right up on other boats or anything like that. And just really be responsible with trash in the water or a log in the water. Just make sure you're always aware of your surroundings.
If you are out on a smaller boat, such as a kayak, be aware of your surroundings and watch out for larger boats, and vice versa for bigger boats in relation to smaller boats. Lack of summer camps hasn't slowed William Long's recruitment one bit, so much that he's picked up interest from outside of the United States. The Breathitt County senior has a number of schools interested in his services, including the University of British Columbia in Canada. The Thunderbirds are 4-time national champs in Canada, and the recruitment process has been slightly different for a school outside of the country.
It makes it more important for me to send them film and for them to be able to reach out to me on a regular basis and stuff. I won't get to meet them unless I go up there. They probably won't come down and see me with the distance and everything. So it's definitely unique.
Long will announce his commitment on August 2nd. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the NFL now says it should have listened to player concerns over racism. Now the league is making some changes.
And today is going to be on the drier side, but when do those rain chances return? Well, I'll have that answer next.